बी आर अम्बेडकर यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ सोशल साइंसेस डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ मैनेजमेंट की ओर से हमारे सभी गणमान्य ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर्स जो हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं सभी को सादर प्रणाम करता हूं, और हमारे जितने प्रतिभागीगण, वरिष्ठ प्राध्यापक और हमारे साथ हमारे यूनिवर्सिटी के डीन त्रिपाठी सर जुड़े हैं, देवाशीष सर जुड़े हैं, आप सभी को नमस्कार करता हूं। और मैं बताना चाहता हूँ डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर सामाजिक विज्ञान विश्वविद्यालय महू और भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल संयुक्त तत्वावधान में राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के अनुरूप प्रबंधन पाठ्यक्रम में प्रस्तावित संशोधन पर यह वाइस चांसलर कॉन्क्लेव का आज आयोजन किया गया है, जिसमें आप सभी का स्वागत है। मैं भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल और ब्राउस की परंपरा अनुसार ध्येय वाक्य के लिए भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल से श्री एडवोकेट नरेश मिश्रा जी को आमंत्रित करता हूं ध्येय वाक्य वाचन के लिए।
सभी आदरणीय सदस्यों को राम राम, नमस्कार। तत्कर्मं यत्र बन्धाय सा विद्या या विमुक्ते आयासाया परम कर्म विद्ये अन्य सुल्पुने पुरम। श्री विष्णु पुराण का यह श्लोक कहता है कि कर्म वही है जो बंधन में न बांधे, विद्या वही है जो मुक्त करे, अन्य सभी कर्म निरर्थक क्रिया हैं व अन्य सभी अध्ययन केवल कारीगरी मात्र हैं। जी भरत भाई साहब, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद भाई साहब। यह राष्ट्रीय वेबिनार राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति 2020 और विभिन्न विषयों के शिक्षकों की भूमिका और पाठ्यक्रमों में प्रस्तावित संशोधनों पर चल रहे एक वर्षीय 50 कार्यक्रमों की श्रृंखला का 31वां कार्यक्रम है, 31st प्रोग्राम है ये हमारा। डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर सामाजिक विज्ञान विश्वविद्यालय द्वारा माननीय कुलपति प्रोफेसर आशा शुक्ला मैडम के मार्गदर्शन में और कुशल नेतृत्व में निरंतर अकादमिक शोध और सामाजिक विज्ञान के क्षेत्र में नए आयाम छू रहा। नई शिक्षा नीति 2020 को शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में बहुत बड़े बदलाव के रूप में देखा जा सकता है, किंतु इसका प्रभावी क्रियान्वयन एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भाग है। डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर सामाजिक विज्ञान विश्वविद्यालय महू और भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल द्वारा एक वर्षीय 50 अंतर्राष्ट्रीय राष्ट्रीय वेबिनार की श्रृंखला का आयोजन किया जा रहा है, जिसके माध्यम से तमाम विषयों उप विषयों के शिक्षकों की भूमिका और साथ ही पाठ्यक्रमों में प्रस्तावित संशोधनों पर गहन विचार विमर्श किया जा रहा है, जिसके लिए देश विदेश के हमारे पर्सनालिटीज, अलग अलग वाइस चांसलर्स और विशेष विशेषज्ञ लगातार हमारे विभिन्न कार्यक्रमों में जुड़ रहे हैं। आज का वेबिनार भी इसी कड़ी में एक महत्वपूर्ण कार्यक्रम है, जिसमें राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के अनुरूप प्रबंधन पाठ्यक्रमों के में प्रस्तावित संशोधनों पर डिस्कस किया जाएगा। विषय पर देश के ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर्स को आज हमें सुनने का मौका मिलेगा, जिसका निश्चित ही हमारे जितने पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं उनको एकेडमिक बेनिफिट्स होगा। आज इस कार्यक्रम में हमारे साथ देश के प्रतिष्ठित विश्वविद्यालयों से सम्मान्य कुलपतिगण हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं। मैं उन सभी का सादर अभिवादन करता हूं, सादर स्वागत करता हूं। मैं इस कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए इस कार्यक्रम के रचयिता और जिनके कारण आज हम इस कार्यक्रम को कर रहे हैं, होने जा रहा है ये कार्यक्रम, परम सम्मानीय प्रोफेसर आर के शुक्ला सर को सादर आमंत्रित करता हूं कि हमारे अतिथियों का सभी से परिचय कराएं और साथ ही आज के कार्यक्रम में प्रस्तावना वक्तव्य के लिए आप सादर आमंत्रित हैं सर। प्रोफेसर आर के शुक्ला सर।
सभी लोगों को बहुत बहुत प्रणाम। जैसा कि अभी भरत भाटी ने कहा कि मुझे 2 दायित्व दिए गए हैं, एक तो मुझे वेलकम करना है, अपने एक्सपर्ट्स का परिचय कराना है और विषय का प्रवर्तन भी करना है। तो सबसे पहले मैं थोड़ा सा 2 लाइन ब्रॉस के बारे में बता दूं कि जो डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ सोशल साइंसेज है, ये सोशल साइंस का एकमात्र विश्वविद्यालय है, देश का पहला विश्वविद्यालय। इसमें 11 स्कूल्स हैं और जिसमें मोर देन 100 कोर्स संचालित हैं। प्रसन्नता की बात यह है कि जिस विषय को लेकर आज हम बात करने जा रहे हैं, यहाँ पर BBA और MBA भी संचालित है। बड़े हर्ष का विषय है कि अभी कुछ ही समय पूर्व एक मीटिंग हुई थी कि स्टार हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस के साथ जो MOU हुआ है, तो एक सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स भी हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस का शुरू होने जा रहा है, जिसमें कि एम्प्लॉयर्स ने ये कमिटमेंट किया है कि वो ट्रेनिंग भी देंगे और साथ में उसके बाद प्लेसमेंट के लिए भी उन्होंने कहा है। तो एक अच्छी वो भी शुरुआत हुई है। अब मैं अपने अतिथि, जो कि हर अतिथि अपने में इतना ज्यादा है कि यदि हम उसके बारे में बताएंगे तो समय कम पड़ जाएगा, तो हम बहुत संक्षिप्त में उनका परिचय आपको देंगे। हमारी चेयरमैन प्रोफेसर आशा शुक्ला, करंटली शी इज वाइस चांसलर BR Ambedkar University. She has a research experience of over 30 years and teaching experience of over 33 years in the areas of teacher education, women studies and Hindi literature. Earlier, she has worked as head Women's Studies Department, Bhartiya University, Bhopal. She has a versatile international national academic exposure, including 5 conferences, international conferences at USA, Japan, Taiwan, Suriname, India, and she has been engaged as member or expert of various committees of UGC, NEP, NCRT, NCT, Chhattisgarh Public Service Commission, MP Public Service Commission, and various universities. He is a brand ambassador of स्वच्छता अभियान नई दुनिया भोपाल। हमारे जो अन्य एक्सपर्ट हैं, प्रोफेसर परिमल व्यास जी वाइस चांसलर हैं महाराजा सयाजी राव यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ बड़ौदा के। इस वाइस चांसलर से पहले प्रायर वो एक्टिंग वाइस चांसलर और प्रो वाइस चांसलर भी रहे हैं MS यूनिवर्सिटी बड़ौदा के 14 से जनवरी 16 तक, और वाइस चांसलर फ्रॉम फरवरी 16 से फरवरी 19, और इसके बाद सेकेंड टर्म में अभी भी वहाँ वाइस चांसलर हैं। बहुत लंबे समय से उन्हें वाइस चांसलर का अनुभव है। He has the distinction of being the very first dual joint professor of Faculty of Management Studies and possesses more than 15 years of teaching, research and administrative experience as professor of MSUB. Under his able leadership, the MS University Baroda has achieved re-accreditation of National Assessment Accreditation NEP with A grade, that is 3.16 CGPA in 2016. Professor Vyas has also been nominated several times as chairman of NEC, UGC, NBA, and several places as executive council member of State Higher Education Council. He has honored with several awards also. Dr. Jain Solwalkar, he has total experience of 38 years, out of which 33 years of academic, 16 years of academic administrative, and 5 years of industrial experience. Previously, he has served as Dean Faculty of Management and Head School of Journalism and Mass Communication, Professor IMS at DAV Indore. He has worked as book editor, International Journal of Business and Emerging Markets, Canada, Reviewer Academy of Management. Written 5 cases in the area of marketing, PR, event management, and international marketing. Presented 35 papers in national and international conferences. He is a member of several. Now I will tell one giant of our field, Professor Upinder Dhar. He is the Vice Chancellor, Sri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth University, Indore, MP. Nowadays, this university is progressing in the able leadership of Professor Dhar. Prior to this, he was Group Additional Vice Chancellor and Pro Vice Chancellor Academics of MT University, Noida, 14-15. First Vice Chancellor of JK Lakshmipat University, Jaipur, 9-14. Dr. Dhar has directed more than 45 3-day national case writing workshop. He has been national coordinator for the project on empowerment of women through enterprise for its implementation in North India, 30 scholars have been awarded PhD degree. 30 scholars have been awarded PhD degree under his supervision. He has worked as member of editorial board for several journals, and he was chief editor of the Nirma University Journal of Business Management, editor of Prestige Journal of Management and Research, Prestige Research Abstract, Mano Darpan, and Indian Journal of Training and Development. He has more than 500 publications to his credit. As I have already told, our resource person is a very wide experience. It is very difficult to tell in short time, but I have just tried to focus. Professor K. Mani Mekhlai is the former Vice Chancellor, Mother Teresa Women's University, Kodaikanal, presently working as Head and Director in Alagappa University, Karikudi. He has authored 16 books, chapters in Actor 16, and edited 8 books. She has worked as editor-in-chief of 4 journals, editor of 3 journals, membership in editorial board of 9 journals, and peer reviewer of several journals. She is having 15 years of administrative experience, 33 years of teaching experience, and 32 years of research experience. Research project completed 18 and 2 are running. Article published in Care Journals 15, in Scopus Index Journal 5, countries visited United Kingdom, China and Turkey, Scotland. She has received several awards in her career. After that, now I will come to our next, that is Professor Nageshwar Rao. Previously, he has worked as VC Uttarakhand Open University, in charge VC Kumayu University, Nainital. 41 students have been awarded PhD in management. He has written 7 books. He was the president of Indian Accounting Association. He was conferred fellow at Commonwealth of Learning. Saraswati Samman was conferred upon him. Then, last but not the least, our resource person, Professor Satya Prakash Bansal. He is the Vice Chancellor, Central University of Himachal Pradesh, Dharamshala. Joined Central University of Himachal Pradesh as Vice Chancellor on 28 July. He has written about 90 research papers, 24 books, and guided 21 research scholars. Best Teacher Award of Himachal Pradesh University 2012 and other several awards. His area of expertise lies in tourism management, research methodology, marketing, finance, quantitative technique, universal human values, and personality development. So after that, I will come to my second responsibility, that is about the introduction of this subject. I want to listen the very eminent our expert just to take few minutes. Education in management need to be outcome-based education at undergraduate and postgraduate levels with provision for choice-based credit system. Outcome-based education defines program educational objectives, program objectives, and course objective for every program, and student progression is assessed based on their achievement status. This education system is student-centric and also focuses on meeting industry and societal requirements. CBCS curriculum needs to have core subjects, elective, including open electives and specialization major electives and internship. Core subjects can be a blend of theory and practical subjects relevant to management. Open elective courses offer knowledge and skills in diverse areas, thereby creating an opportunity for holistic education and specialization major subject to create a focus on various functional areas. Problem-based learning need to be integrated into the curriculum for a better understanding of various concepts in management. There is a need to integrate massive open online courses, MOOCs, into the curriculum to supplement the classroom teaching and to give opportunity for students to learn from experts from different reputed institutions. Like we can take the advantage of Dhar Sahab's University also. So like that, IIM also. That is the point. MOOC can be provided in the forum of open electives, additional courses, which will help students to explore new skills, academic offering undergraduate program with opportunities to major in specializations such as accounting, financial markets, logistics, marketing, human resource, insurance, banking, and business analytics will provide a grounding in different functional areas of business and focus the student towards a career in the domains. Offering global accounting certification embedded in the curriculum will provide students an opportunity to complete their degree along with a professional certification. Why I am saying? I am also in the governing board of Symbiosis Arts and Commerce College, Pune. So in the governing body meeting, I was told they have already started this CMA, CIMA, and apart from that degree which is given by the university, there is a additional this professional certificate to the student. So that I feel that is a very good thing which will provide them with additional skills and knowledge corporate world. Another important aspect in developing and designing a curriculum is the involvement of industry partners. As जैसा कि हम लोगों को मालूम है कि हमको इसमें क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग पर ध्यान देना है, इंटीग्रेटेड रिसोर्स पर्सनालिटी पर, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप पर, जो इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर्स की बात की गई है, मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी की बात की गई है। प्रबंध में तो वैसे ही मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी है, कहीं उसमें मैथ्स भी आता है, उसमें इकोनॉमिक्स भी आता है, तो अकाउंटिंग भी आता है, तो उसमें तो वो बात है नहीं, मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी पहले ही है। यहाँ मुख्य समस्या ये है कि हमारा जो लड़का आता है MBA का, कोई बीकॉम ग्राउंड का है, कोई दूसरे ग्राउंड का है जिसको अकाउंटिंग नहीं मालूम है, कुछ आता है जिसको बिजनेस मैथमेटिक्स का ए नहीं मालूम। तो जो डिफरेंट लड़के आ रहे हैं उनके अलग अलग बैकग्राउंड हैं, तो उनको किस तरह से इस तरह सिलेबस बनाया जाए कि उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट हो। तो जो ये अप्रोच है इसमें क्यूरिकुलम को चेंज करने की बहुत ज़्यादा आवश्यकता है। स्किलिंग ही नहीं, री स्किलिंग की जरूरत है, ट्रेनिंग ही नहीं, रीट्रेनिंग की जरूरत है। और इसमें लास्ट में मैं बस एक बात इसमें कह के अपनी बात खत्म करूंगा कि मैंने देखा जैसे इसमें बताया गया है डिफरेंट इंस्टीट्यूशन में भी कर सकते हैं, तो कई लोगों ने डिस्कशन में कहा साहब ये कैसे पॉसिबल होगा कि एक इंस्टीट्यूशन से करने के बाद दूसरा। तो आप देखें इसके उदाहरण विदेश में भी हैं और हमारे भी जो पुराने मैनेजमेंट हैं, जैसे मैं उदाहरण दूंगा SP जैन का ही, कि मेरे अपने बेटे ने जब ग्लोबल मैनेजमेंट का कोर्स किया तो 4 महीने ऑस्ट्रेलिया में किया, 4 महीने सिंगापुर में किया, 4 महीने दुबई में किया, और जो ग्लोबल MBA की उसको जो डिग्री मिली उससे आज वो बहुत वेल प्लेस्ड है, जनरल मैनेजर है एक इंटरनेशनल उसमें। और मुझे ये कहते हुए बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है कि जब वो उसको करने गया था उससे पहले उसकी जो सैलरी पैकेज था उससे मोर देन 3.5 आने के बाद ही, केवल वो कोर्स करने के बाद ही उसका वैल्यू एडिशन हो गया। तो हमें जो इसमें नई चीजें दी गई हैं उसको कैसे करना है इस पे ध्यान देना है। कई बार लोग उस पर क्वेश्चन उठा रहे हैं कि साहब इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी में आर्ट्स कैसे पढ़ाएंगे। तो हमें ये भी बताना चाहिए कि आर्ट्स हमको मेजर सब्जेक्ट नहीं पढ़ा रहे हैं, उसको इलेक्टिव कर रहे हैं। उसकी जो क्रिएटिविटी है, उसकी जो हॉबी है, जिसकी वजह से अभी तक आप पूरा नहीं कर रहे थे, वो विदेश चला जाता था, जहां इस तरह की अपॉर्चुनिटी थी वहां चला जाता था। तो इनडायरेक्टली इससे हमारे उस बच्चे को हम बचा सकते हैं कि हम तुमको यहीं पर दे रहे हैं वो चॉइस, तो आपको दूसरी जगह जाने की जरूरत कहाँ है। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं अपनी वाणी को विराम करता हूँ क्योंकि मेरा समय हो गया है और मैं इस कार्यक्रम की शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ भारती जी को।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच। आपने पूरे कार्यक्रम के प्रस्तावना सभी के मध्य रखा और सभी अतिथियों का परिचय करवाया। मैं हमारे सभी ऑडियंस को प्रोफेसर RK शुक्ला सर का भी थोड़ा सा परिचय देना चाहता हूँ। प्रोफेसर आर के शुक्ला सर, he is senior professor, Department of Commerce, DFB right now, Indore. Sir is having approx 38 years of total experience in teaching and research. Earlier, he has worked as head business Commerce Department, PSS, Central Institute of Vocational Education, NCRT, Bhopal for 10 years. He has handled numerous times the responsibility of acting dean and principal of RIE Bhopal, as well as that of acting joint director of PSS CIV Bhopal. He has published more than 30 quality research papers in the field of commerce and management. Professor Shukla has been member and expert in various important committees of UGC, NEP, NCT, NCERT, Chhattisgarh Public Commission, and various university. He has been actively involved in as chairperson in technical session, keynote speakers, guest of honors, invited talk, more than 50 occasions in international conferences. 5 books have published and 13 PhD has been awarded under his supervision. Thank you very much, sir. आपका हमेशा सपोर्ट हमें मिलता है. Thank you so much, sir. मैं इस कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाता हूं और हमारे जो नेक्स्ट एमिनेंट वक्ता हैं, ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर महाराजा सयाजी राव यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ बड़ौदा गुजरात से प्रोफेसर परिमल व्यास सर जुड़े हैं. मैं सर को सादर प्रणाम करता हूं और आपको ऑडियंस को संबोधित करने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं.
नमस्कार. मुझे लग रहा है मेरी आवाज आप सबसे पहुंच रही है.
जी
हाँ, थोड़ा नेट का इश्यू है तो मुझे मेरा थोड़ा कैमरा है उसको बंद करना पड़ेगा so that we can have effective communication. I'm very happy to be a part of a galaxy of very senior vice chancellors and it's a matter of pleasure and privilege for me to share some of my thoughts on changes in course curriculum of management studies as per national education policy. We get inspiration from Professor Upinder Dharji, Professor R K Shukla ji, a senior professor, and other beloved, senior vice chancellors and friends, Professor Sunvalkar ji, Nageshwar Rao ji, Professor Bansal ji, and the entire team of university, and Naresh Mishra ji from Bhartiya Shikshan Mandal, and the soul behind this entire webinar which is happening, probably the only university in the entire country, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University of Social Sciences under leadership of, and NEP provides us an opportunity to integrate these, strengthen the cultural roots of our country, and then how can we strategically make use of the ancient Indian science. Now that's one thing which we really need to keep in mind, and how we can make use of the technology. When we are talking about these webinar in context of NEP, COVID-19 disruption is also now becoming normal, but then this new normal also we will have to fine tune. And 3 important aspects of curriculum updation whenever we make in our management programs is innovation, technology, and the purpose. That is the vision and mission. And we all should realize that curriculum is the soul of teaching learning process. We need to imbibe those skill sets with the adoption of multidisciplinary approach to make our students not just industry ready, job ready, but I would say future ready. They should be able to tackle all kinds of challenges that they are expected to face in near future. By multidisciplinary approach, I mean to say that business schools need to integrate and do partnering with the engineering schools, design schools, art and craftsmanship schools, and also the schools pertaining to social sciences. Now that is what we expect and we should keep in mind while implementing the curriculum changes in the management of business education. Holistic growth and development and the overall personality development, I would not elaborate, but whenever we are planning and introducing change in our courses. We should collect the suggestions. We should engage all stakeholders, above all students, faculty members, recruiters, administrators, spiritual leaders, technocrats, and policymakers. We all have experienced the kind of consultation that has happened for a very long time before the national education policy was prepared.
ज्वाइन कर लिया.
Then let us take some of the aspects which let us
अब
realize
वैसे भी दूसरा हो गया है, लिंक तुम्हें भी डाल तो
the
देते.
role of teacher would become facilitator and
पिछली बार की तरह से वो टेक्निकल
And,
प्रॉब्लम आ गई थी, कोई वो
शुक्ला सर आपका माइक्रोफोन ऑफ कर लीजिए प्लीज.
faculty, in fact, I would admit like the kind of a technical glitch that just now we faced. Faculty, in fact, we all need to become technology friendly. We need to make use of all interactive devices, animations, simulations, presentations, case studies, evaluations, and that adaptation is expected from faculties of using online mode. And then institute, in fact, be it a department, be it a school, be it a college, should prepare what I would say should develop the technology gadgets. I would put it as the technological infrastructure, be it digital pen, pads, touchscreen, laptops, streaming facilities, what we call these digital studios that we would require. And then one more aspect on which I would expect while implementing the national education policy, I think we should collectively prepare a basket of online short-term certificate courses, which would not just take care of management education, but it would also help us to meet industry-specific requirements. The challenge before all of us is, can we benchmark our courses? That's very, very important. And when I say about benchmarking, I would say that it is not just at the national level, but we need to benchmark our courses that we offer with the global business schools. I think Professor Shukla was referring his own experience of the global MBA program. We need to bring in international professors, in due course of time, but industry experts. I always emphasize while talking about the delivery of the content and the training in the skills development, the 50% of the syllabus must be taught by the industry professionals. At least that collaboration with industry, academia interaction, not just in teaching, but internships, mentorships, research, and I would say above all in designing of the course curriculum. And I think we need to relate it with the first line which Professor Shukla shared with us, outcome-based education. Institution, in fact, should also facilitate and ensure that how can we have continuous assessment of our students and faculties with the requirement of the industries, NGOs, government departments, so on and so forth. Innovations in course curriculum and programs to enhance the skills and employability of students I think it would be a crucial factor. And as I said, the role of technology in fashioning human behavior. This is likely to break down the barriers between the technical and management education. I think we need to bring a synergy, to see to it that they develop all kinds of skills, be technical, conceptual, human relations, and I think a new set of skills which are very important with the IT revolution. We are talking about what we call the revolution 5 in higher education. And I really do not want to emphasize upon the close connection between industry and academia. We need to bring professionals, and we need to create and build professionals in the area of artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning, and we also need to bring other certain diverse disciplines which also influences, be it medical and health discipline, genomics, biotechnology, nanotechnology. In fact, now that we have reached to a point where the need of the hour is that we need to embrace inclusivity in technology-led growth, especially involving large cap companies, a strategic emphasis on MSMEs and startup to prepare ourselves for a digital learning. In fact, digital learning is one of the very important trend in business education or management education in 2020. 2021. Business, as I said, AR, VR, machine learning, and I think see when we are revising this curriculum, let us also try to look at that. That the concept, as I always say, that the time and the concept of time and distance has undergone a big change. The speed, we are in the era of agility. That's very, very important. And business leaders now need to prepare, because we prepare business leaders. We need to prepare them for a never new normal. And let us realize that companies are also automating certain routine tasks. They are adopting digital technologies to improve operational efficiencies, to improve productivity. And COVID-19 has, as we all know, has caused huge disruptions in management education. In fact, we also need to prepare students, because we know that before the COVID, after the COVID, we all have realized work from home, remote workplaces, the culture of work from home, multi-locations, team, all that. I think some of the important skills I think now we really need to focus upon, apart from communication, is the negotiation. I think that's very, very important. And this new normal is characterized by rapidly evolving cultural, social values and attitudes. There's increased demand now for good corporate governance and enhanced brand intent. People perception and academic reputation. I think there are two very powerful aspects that we need to integrate. We need to use it strategically when we revise our curriculum for management education. Leadership need to focus on speed, compassion, empathy, and resilience, which in turn would determine the chances of sustainability and the survival. We need to take care of the not just economic or socio-economic, but we also need to take care of psychological well-being, mental health, and there are issues pertaining to the strengths. So let me just now go on the concluding part of my presentation. What are the trends that I think we can envision that has already started to influence management and business education in 2021? The first and foremost, let's realize online learning. We are going towards hybridization. Companies are providing to their employees an option to work from home, office, or both. The challenge when we revise our curriculum for the management program, after integration of technological innovation, the challenge is, can we deliver? Can we conceive, create, build, and deliver personalized learning experience to the students? How we are going to provide an access to pre-recorded lectures and videos to the students? How we are going to use various digital technologies, which would include collaboration software, interactive lectures, live simulations, AI, automation, and machine learning. Through these emerging technologies, I think we need to prepare our students. We need to empower them to have an easy access to these digital communities, support system, interaction with the professors, their fellow classmates, PGPs, the learning tools, and the global connections. I think all that we really need to integrate when we talk about curriculum adaptation. Basically, the focus and content, these are the two crucial areas on which we need to focus. The demand of the society worldwide is now on climate change, data-driven decision making, and sustainability. How can we develop self-awareness, integrity, curiosity, adaptability, above all teamwork, creativity, social awareness, ethics, and how can we empower our students to deal with complex problem solving skills, using critical thinking? I think that's very important. How I'm going to use the online resources which are now available on Coursera, Swayam, and so many such platforms. To conclude, let me just say that NEP is a significant step forward. Its implementation holds the key to bring transformation in management education. It calls for students and faculties both to become techno-savvy. We need to have a student-centric approach, and it should be of an integrative nature. It should be open, flexible, and transparent. And the biggest change that the pandemic has brought, how can we integrate digital transition, smooth digital transition in our students? We should also look at the global trends in MBA admission, which is worse, but then in India, still, it is a dream come true for students to be a part of premier management institution, leading business schools. The challenge is before all of us when we talk about the skill development is the skill sets, new skill sets 2021 report is available. I think we should take that into consideration. The delivery of content and the skill set should help us to develop negotiation skills, digital skills, working in group, how we can make them to help and work in building teams. And one very important area is automation and analytics. When I say analytics, I would like to emphasize on business analytics and data analytics. Like business is become e-business. We all know data is the currency of a digital world, and data analytics is essential for business and we school graduates. And we need to integrate analytics, in our curriculum to improve its effectiveness. The challenge on the content delivery side is mostly from MOOC. We need to be creative. Indian institutions need to look for partnering. And there could be a programs, between our technology and management institutes. There are examples, Infosys Leadership Institute, the collaboration with IBM. There are many examples. We need to explore joint appointments of the faculties. We need to, strengthen cooperation between various management institutes, IITs and IIMs and certain other business schools. Executive education, in fact, has to, again, review its offerings very critically. And let me tell you, how can we empower our management, institutions with better governance of academic institutions, greater autonomy and supported with the world-class infrastructure. The strategy that we can adopt before we go for curriculum updation, we should attract Indian origin businesses and the academic leadership outside India. Can we do that? In fact, there is a proposal, as you all know, that we are going to have overseas campuses, and the campuses from the premier institutions, universities are going to be set up here. I think we need to work on that partnering. We need to work on those alliances, in curriculum development, student exchange program, and dual certification. I won't elaborate. Dual degree, I've already said, partnership with more universities, and I think B schools, when we revise the curriculum, we need to adopt an integrative approach and focus on business development to achieve growth. I think if I have to summarize, I would say that national education policy provides us an opportunity to create, build and sustain an environment to involve faculties, to involve students, and to see to it that how can we integrate it with the vision and mission of the institute by following the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. I think the whole India becomes a knowledge hub in the 21st century. That is what we expect, and I think that is an opportunity. It above all, it requires a change in mindsets, more from the faculty, more from the governing bodies, and I wish it is not just management education. I think gradually we should ensure that large number of institutions would adopt a corporate professional approach by constituting board of management. And I think we really need to make smart use of alumni. That's very important. World-class universities, they are world-class because of the participation, contribution, commitment of alumni. That's very, very important. So we need to bring all stakeholders. If it is a state-run department, I believe we need to strengthen accountability when we do curriculum revision. And if it is private, I think autonomy. This is very, very important. And before 2 days, I was addressing the audience on building world-class universities and global ranking. I said that we need, already national education policy has one very interesting feature. Let us remove all kinds of differences that we carry in our mind, perception that we carry for private universities, deemed universities. I think we are all here in academic institutions to see to it how can we deliver our best to prepare our students, professionals for future, to take the country into the knowledge era in the 21st century. I think it's an ongoing process. And how do we operationalize by taking small innovative initiatives one after the another. And I think it's a continuous process, because I believe education is a slow process. Education, it's a slow process, it's a long process, and it would take time. It would not happen overnight. But I'm quite optimistic about it. I express deep sense of gratitude to all my fellow vice chancellors who are with us. I would also listen to them, and thank you, Professor Shuklaji, Professor Asha Shuklaji, the Vice Chancellor of such a great university, for providing me an opportunity to share some of my thoughts. Thank you, one and all. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful and informative address on the topic of
भरत,
NEP.
एक चीज मैं कहना चाहता हूँ
जी
कि
सर,
उपेंद्र साहब से थोड़ा सा माफी मांग लेना। उनका वैसे तीसरा था, सुबह चूंकि फोन आया था जैन साहब का कि उतने बजे मैं जुड़ूंगा सर, और फिर मुझे जाना है, राजभवन से टाइम लिया हुआ है, तो मैं थोड़ा सा उपेंद्र साहब से माफी मांगते हुए जैन जी को ले लूंगा। इसके बाद हमारे जो वरिष्ठ उपेंद्र जी हैं वो इसके बाद लेंगे। मुझे लगता है थोड़ा सा वो हमें इसके लिए माफ करेंगे। तो
नहीं कर लीजिए, प्लीज गो अहेड
जी। तो अब मैं
जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच सर।
जैन जी नमस्कार।
जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। अब मैं ऑन लेवल वाइस चांसलर MP भोज ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी भोपाल मध्य प्रदेश से हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं प्रोफेसर जयंत सोनवलकर सर। मैं सादर सर आपको आमंत्रित करता हूं आज के विषय पर अपनी विचार व्यक्त करने के लिए। सर सादर आमंत्रित है। सर माइक्रोफोन अनम्यूट कर लीजिए प्लीज।
जी, सभी को नमस्कार। और माननीय कुलपति जी आशा शुक्ला जी, मेरे साथ जुड़े दूसरे सभी स्पीकर्स, डॉक्टर बंसल, डॉक्टर नागेश्वर राव हमारे वरिष्ठ मित्र, डॉक्टर परिमल व्यास जी हमारे बहुत क्लोज सहयोगी, डॉक्टर उपेंद्र धर जिन्होंने अब अलाउ किया मुझे बीच में बोलने के लिए, और डॉक्टर शुक्ला जी और डॉक्टर मनी मेकलाई, फॉर्मर वाइस चांसलर मदर टेरेसा वीमेन यूनिवर्सिटी, और श्रोताओं, दर्शकों इसलिए नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि अधिकांश लोगों के जो कैमरे हैं वो बंद हैं, तो इसलिए श्रोताओं बोलना ज़्यादा उचित रहेगा। Now this is a good opportunity where this university has brought many very senior people of management on the same forum, and definitely this is an area of which needs to be considered after the national education policy should be considered in a great length. Our colleague Dr. Parimal Vyas has at length described most of the things, and since I was in another executive council meeting, so I could not hear earlier speakers, let me put forward my few thoughts on national education policy and its impact on specifically management education. NEP aims to recognize the need to evaluate higher order skills. Now, most of the time, I mean, many times in the NEP policy draft document and final document, they have talked about skill and skill development. Basically, management education is skill orientation and skill development, but it is more called as competency. So such as, and it has specifically mentioned about creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, visualization, and idea generation. Each of these required to be deliberated at length, and each business school in the country must have specific programs and classes on training programs for developing creativity, because there are places abroad where only people go for 1 year for developing their creativity or critical thinking. So such schools are not there in India so far, but if we have to inculcate critical thinking, creativity, problem solving is there imbibed in all the case studies. But most of the business schools, barring first 20 or first 15 or first 30, most of the business schools, instead of case studies, they do in the classes caselets. There is a huge difference between caselets and case studies. Caselets are just 1 or 2 pages where they are aimed at only exposing you or introducing you to a business problem in a real world. While cases are minimum 7 to 10 pages, earlier when we were a student, cases used to be 40 pages long. And still, if you go to the case depository of most of the top business school, Mate, Harvard, Wharton, Kellogg, MIT, Sloan School of Management, IIMs in India, ISB, all the cases are 20 to 30 pages long. But now there is a general consensus all around the country that cases should be around 7-8 pages to 15 pages long. This is a general consensus among IIM professors, although they still use very large cases. So to develop problem solving, management education right from the beginning has been using this technique of case studies. And many business schools in the world, including IIM Ahmedabad and others, use only case studies as class teaching methodology, and they do not have anything else to teach. But there is a discussion going on everywhere in the management education that what the pedagogy has to change. The methodology of teaching in management education is required to change, and we must, because in India we cannot teach on only case studies because our full-time students do not come from a background where they have 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years of business experience. So all universities and colleges must aim to become multidisciplinary as per NEP. Management education, management B schools are required to also inculcate this multidisciplinarity. Of course, we have been teaching in management school minor and major, and all major students of marketing are taking finance as minor, or HR as minor, or operation research as minor. But we need to, in India, inculcate many new specializations like international business. Very few schools in India have additional specialization or specialization in international business or international marketing. But they have to not only develop multidisciplinarity only in the area of management, but of course other areas. Because we have seen in our annual functions, our students are very creative and they need to learn more, like music or arts or any other area. I have seen in many corporate houses are very poor in public relation. So we need to offer some of the courses from journalism or public relations to MBA faculty of future managers, so that their public relation can become okay, and when they go to the corporate world, they can learn so many things. The curriculum of B school should be revised and become more rigorous and skill oriented. Now, I have been a propagator of on-the-job training in IMS, Institute of Management Studies, when I came from Delhi and joined in 1987. In 88, we started a program of on-the-job training, half-day industry, half-day university, half-day IMS student. So 8 to 1:30, they used to study in our institute, and 2:30 to 7:30, they used to go in industry. And that is what the new education policy now focuses again, that all the students must get appropriate industry exposure or practical exposure. So that we have been doing in IMS up to 5 years, 6 years, we ran that program, and gradually, because of poor monitoring and poor management, it fizzled out. But of course, most of the industry people in B schools in different states in India, they have different models for exposing their students to industry. Either they have extended summer training or extended winter training for industries, 2 months, or few business schools have also opted to give 3 months training at the end of the job, which is also insufficient in a sense. So as per new education policy, we have to make them more skill oriented and give them more lifelong experience. or industry experience, practical industry experience, so that they can learn better. And blended learning is going to be the talk of the town in the next couple of decades. And we have to put a lot of material online. Of course, people say that putting material online, or which is called coat hanger technology, it's by hanging the material on the web, it is not teaching or it is not learning. We must understand that new education policy does not talk about teaching methodology. They talk about pedagogy, but they talk about learning methodologies, not teaching methodologies. So whole shift has actually changed from teaching to learning. You have to facilitate learning of a student in a manner that he learns well and he learns fully as to what we want to learn him. So B school students will benefit tremendously from the NEP 2020, as they will get a necessary exposure and experience of the real business world. Moreover, all the skills and knowledge needed for the real business will be imparted. And we have to design all B schools syllabuses, B schools course curriculum, have to inculcate everything, this thing mostly in the in their daily routine, that they have to be exposed. One of the things which I don't know whether our colleague Dr. Parimal Vyas has mentioned, but MS University of Baroda is unique in a sense, and that experience, whenever I go in my seminars, webinars, I always mention that they used to have a fest where they give 500 rupees to students. And do you still do, Dr. Parimal Vyas?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
sir.
that experience is extremely well received all over the country, and I always praise MS University Baroda for this purpose, that they give 500 rupees to students and they have to make maximum money out of those 500 rupees, maybe in a day or two, whatever is your system. But that is one of the most wonderful experiences of a B school students, or otherwise other students also. So this kind of activities have to be taken up by most of the B schools under new NEP, and only then they can actually learn the real life problems or real life business issues. I would hate to use word problems. Actually, when once you have a business, and once you have a product, or once you have a service in to offer, you have to only target them to right people. If you just go by ancient Indian knowledge or wisdom, market is not a problem. Market or competition is not an issue. In all ancient wisdoms, whether you take Kautilya or any other Indian, even Gita or any other ancient sculpture, basically they look at market as one of the services you are offering. So if you are offering a services which is required by people, which we have been teaching right from the rather last 3-4 decades, we have been teaching that only those products will sell more uh, which are required by the society. So of course we have managed to improvise products in all the manners possible. If you just see cars, mobile phones, everything, cars are not cars now. Now they are going to fly in the sky also in coming years. So they will become aeroplanes. Mobiles were not mobiles. They are not the instruments which are only the instruments to talk or communicate. Now they have become more of a camera than or video making instruments. So they have replaced video cameras or handycams in a manner. So product improvement is a nice thing, but it should be for the requirement of the society. Not that if you just see why iPhone or Apple is still going number one in the world, because they have made it as simple as possible. Steve Jobs' philosophy was make things as simple as possible. So they don't have like Samsung or any other phone company. They don't have too much complications. So that's why people prefer to have Apple. Of course, they do prefer to have Apples for as a status symbol. But actually, it is the simplicity of Apple which brings it the largest sales. So NEP helps us to motivate, to generate in people, inculcate in students. Number one, with what we started with creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, and visualization, and idea generation. So our emphasis in all universities in India, wherever I've been interacting and going and talking, that we must, why we should wait for others to do inventions or innovations or discoveries and we follow. No, we must make all our, including our business schools. Business schools should be the place for the seat for social problem solving, because we see in our society most of the problems in our, say, municipal corporations, say, police thana, say, government organization is a mismanagement. Of course, people up there hate to listen this word, but the reality is people don't do their job in time, and the files are moving from one table to another table just for nothing. And the people who can take decision, they would not take decision, that they will take it up. So small management principles in the society will make a lot of changes. So these schools have to go extend themselves to society, which is, earlier they used to be a coveted lot. They have to leave that apron from their body of being coveted lot. They have to go to society and find out the problems, all the solutions of all social problems. And that is what new education policy means by extension or social responsibility. They have mentioned a lot about social responsibility. The spirit of the new National Education Policy 2020 prepares the ground for transformation of pedagogical practices. In one of my papers, I have coined a word, or I've used the word pedagogy mix, because each individual learns differently. We have to have a mix of pedagogy in discussing with them. I will not call word teaching with them, in helping them to learn. Some learn with audio, some learn with visual, some learn with doing, some learn by practicing, some learn by example, and some people learn by just reading the principle and understanding the example. So there are different learning styles in the world. So we have to follow, as professors of management, we have to follow pedagogy mix. And if our pedagogy has a mixture of all the most important learning styles of the students, then in real sense we can create the environment what our NEP is envisaging, or what it is trying to build, which is trying to do. And what is that? That is, learning experience of the students must be enjoyable. So how to make class enjoyable? It's not cracking jokes. It's not only cracking jokes or telling them. So these changes new education policy will bring, and we have to use pedagogy mix, and that applies across the board, not only to management school, not only to B school, not only to management education. It applies to all education per se. And NEP also presents optimism in terms of raising youth population in the country, and concomitant of commitment of employment opportunities in terms of for them, providing the academic institutions are willing to change almost everything that characterizes higher education in the country today. So what does it mean? It basically means that we have to change the way we are looking at the higher education. And if we really want to implement the education policy with the right spirit, we have to do a lot of changes. Currently, MBA curricula are heavily loaded with traditional core and elective courses, which do not necessarily prepare the graduate students for the careers and life, especially for not the life. We have been talking about, we have been teaching a subject called entrepreneurship. But teachers who are teaching entrepreneurship, have they done any job in their own life? Or have they done any business in their own life? Have they seen any entrepreneurship activity in their own life? Unless they do, they cannot actually do entrepreneurship in the real sense. So I would put my last point, although I had about 12 more points to discuss, but since I have to run, and let me give the last thing which I've been emphasizing right in the draft policy and all the meetings where we have been going, and actually it has been included in the national education policy, training for teachers. Of course, teachers training is a big thing here, but it is mostly mostly dedicated to school teachers. I would like to come to business school very specifically, being a management professor, and since my all management colleagues are here today, I would like to emphasize this again and again, that we must make compulsory in all business schools that all our assistant professors, leaders, and including professors, they must go every 5 years, 3 months to 6 months to the industry, do a job, and come back. You may ask me a question, who will give you a job after 20 years of experience in academics or after 30 years of experience in academics? I tell you, I have done this in my life at least twice. I went to All India Management Association, and from where, from Delhi, IMA, I took a consultancy for one of the largest video conferencing company in the world. And I worked with them for 1 full year. And actually, I did everything what is required to be in the sales or marketing or pre-sales job. So if I can do it, anybody else can do it. It's not the question that I did it. It's question that unless our finance teachers go to industry and learn how actually workflow, cash flow, and budgets are made, how it is taken, what is the ratio of the capital, and how the capital management is done, and how the all kinds of ratio analysis and everything is done in the industry, they cannot run. Now today, if you go to, there are new rules of share market. What new rules are? People are only investing in only such companies who have no debts. And all those who are investing in companies who have no debts, they are earning heavily. Their rate of return is 15% per annum. While the people lose a lot of money in share market, but I've seen people with those who are with new rules they are investing, they have not lost any money at all. So that can be taught to finance teachers, and then finance teachers can teach such things to finance students. Same is HR. Unless our assistant professors go and join as assistant assistant personnel manager in the office. I was assistant personnel manager when I started my career after Delhi University. So unless they do in the industry, they cannot. So we should make a compulsory thing that after every 5 years, our teacher should go for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months to 6 months time, and we should allow them to go. And that should be with left to the be a school teacher or university. As a vice chancellor, one can make a rule that all our teachers in the all professional courses, be it engineering, be it computers, be it manager, all universities in the country today have computer programs, MCA, MSc computers, and all BE computers. How many of universities are making their own software? Let me ask you this question. If they cannot make their own software, then what is the utility of having a computer department in the university? So that is what is a missing link between our traditional teaching and the new education policy. With this word, that we must take a lead. I would request all my vice chancellor colleagues to take a lead in their own universities, asking their colleagues to go for at least start with 1 month, start with 2 months. Unless they have an exposure in the industry, what are they going to teach? We have a lot of such professors, faculties today in B schools. Those who did MBA, then they did PhD and directly joined teaching. They have absolutely no idea as to how the shop floor looks like. If they don't know what is the shop floor and they are teaching production and operation management, I'm not sure what they are delivering in the class. If they are talking about training and development in HR, if they are talking about HRD management, they are talking about any of the subjects in HRD or HRM, so they are not doing justice to their own subjects, including OB. OB can be taught in a very, very interesting manner. So what are we doing? Well, we are missing link. Why we always say that our MBA teaching is not relevant to the industry? That is the reason. Why our students come back and complain always, and they say, sir, what we learned in management schools was of no great use, and our training was completed only after 1 year, and only after 1 year we were inducted in the job and we got real promotion. So with these words, I conclude today, and I thank the organizers for giving me opportunity. And I'm so sorry that I missed Dr. Parimal Vyas. It's always always fun to and great learning to interact with Dr. Nageshwar Rao, Dr. Parimal Vyas, and all my colleagues here in this forum. Thank you for giving me opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us on the topic to today's theme. Thank you so much, sir. अब मैं बिना वक्त गवाए अपने अगले वक्ता ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं श्री वैष्णव विद्यापीठ यूनिवर्सिटी इंदौर प्रोफेसर उपेंद्र धर सर। मैं सर को सादर आमंत्रित करता हूं कि आप आज के विषय पर अपने विचार व्यक्त करें। प्रोफेसर उपेंद्र धर सर।
Thank you very much. At the outset, I would like to express my grateful thanks to the organizers, particularly Professor Asha Shukla and Professor R.K. Shukla for inviting me to this very important webinar. Well, speakers before me, Professor R.K. Shukla started the webinar, followed by Professor Parimal Vyas and just now Professor Jayant Sonwalkar. They have covered most of the points in length. Therefore, it is a very big challenge to avoid repetitions. You see, one thing all of us know that this new policy, NEP 2020, was released on 29th of July 2020, that is last year. More than 1 year has already passed. It came after 34 years because the previous policy had come in 1986. So after a gap of 36 years, we have a new policy. And it is envisaged that we should implement it in next 15 years, out of which 1 year is already over. So by 2035, this policy is to be implemented. Before going ahead, I would also like to express my thanks to Professor Parimal Vyas for making very pertinent point, which was followed by Professor Jayant Sonwalkar. Well, see, though this whole policy is in just 66 pages, but there are many aspects which have been covered in this policy. Many things which are going to change. It is going to, once it is implemented in full, that is by 2035, the face of higher education in our country is going to change. It will be different. And specifically, if we talk about management education, interestingly, some of the elements are already in practice so far as management education is concerned. Say, one of the major features of new education policy is multidisciplinarity. You see, business administration in itself is a multidisciplinary in nature. It has emerged from various core disciplines. And then, say, this national education policy emphasizes on value education. In many good business schools, business ethics and human values are already taught. So some elements are already there in business education, so far as this application part is concerned. But at the same time, there are many elements at which we need to look at. See, if we take the whole plethora of the courses that we normally teach and that we will be teaching in a business school or a management department, all those courses can be classified broadly into core courses, then discipline-specific electives, general electives, ability enhancement courses, skill development courses. And there is emphasis also on books. That means online courses, maybe from any platform, maybe Coursera, maybe Swayam, and so on. As mentioned by my colleagues just now, that this policy is student-centered. The whole shift is there from teacher-oriented education to student-oriented education, student-centeredness. Student is the king in a way. So he has the choice, or she has the choice to decide what he wants to learn and what he doesn't want to learn. So in general electives category, a student has the choice to choose a course from any other discipline. Say, for example, if a student of business administration is interested in learning painting, he can do a full course in painting. If he is interested in music, he can do a full course in music. If he is interested in learning something from, say, environment, environment science, he has the freedom to choose in the category of general electives. So general electives will mainly take care of the multidisciplinarity part. Further, as we have seen, after this pandemic came, lockdown started last year, then second lockdown also came. We were, particularly, I sometimes also say that teachers are also corona warriors, because we immediately shifted from offline platform to online platform. So we could not that easily, because everybody was not trained. Everybody didn't know how to use online platform. So most of the teachers learned by trial and error. But concern was that students should not be the losers. Concern for the student was the priority. Now we have gradually, universities have started going back to the normal state, that is from online to offline, but it is understood that blended mode, as my colleague Dr. Sonwalkar also mentioned, blended mode is going to be, is going to exist, is going to be a new phenomenon. There will be a mix, offline teaching in the class. At the same time, there will be online learning also, which will go hand in hand. You must be aware that University Grants Commission and even AICT has already issued the regulation that up to 40% can be online. So universities have been given freedom to decide that how much percentage of courses should be in, say, core courses, how much should be in discipline-specific electives, then specifically general electives, ability enhancement courses. See, this kind of classification was not existing earlier. This is coming with this new policy, that skill development courses specifically. So these are credit-based courses. So whosoever is completing a course, studying and passing, he or she will get due credit for that. And it will be deposited in the academic bank of credit. Projects. So a lot of emphasis on projects. The gap between academics and practice need to be minimized. In fact, there should not be any gap left. And one of the ways is to go for the projects. As I said, that some of the good business schools have been already doing some of the elements of this NEP. For example, when I was director of Nirma Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, 15-16 years back, we used to have a credit-based course by the name Managing Social Projects. We had signed a MOU with 18 NGOs, and students were divided into smaller groups, and each group of students was assigned to an NGO. They would go there, they would spend their time there, learn how things are managed by these NGOs, and then prepare a report and make a presentation before the panel of examiners. It was a credit course. Here again, our NEP also emphasizes on community-based projects. One is the normal projects that we give, that means where they learn various concepts of business. At the same time, community-based projects are going to be very important now. So we need to, in management curricula, when we are talking about the curricula, we shall have to introduce, besides normal major research projects or besides or minor projects that we have been giving, students will have to do the community-based projects. So community, connect with the community is going to gain more importance now. So students will have to be exposed to the problems of a common man. And then just simply getting exposed is not enough. They need to find a solution. Solution orientation. Solution orientation is very important. Find a solution. Propose a solution. Recommend a solution. Which sounds logical. It has to be logical. We have to be contemporary. Say, when we are designing or redesigning our curricula, we have to see how to be contemporary. For example, currently, buzzword is Sustainable Development Goals. United Nations has established, or you can say set 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So students need to know it. So course can be designed. A course can be designed on SDGs, so Sustainable Development Goals. So then students get opportunity to learn about it. Projects can be given on sustainable development goals, so that they can learn how on a particular goal achievements are there. We have a challenge of, the whole world has the challenge of achieving these goals by 2030. So where do we stand today? What are the strategies which are being adopted by various states, by various countries? And globally, what is the picture? Students can be given projects on understanding this sustainable development goals and the importance of sustainable goals for the survival of all of us. Not only mankind, the survival of everyone who is living on this earth, because that is the concern. So we have a point that I'm trying to make is, while redesigning our curricula, we have to be contemporary. Contemporary issues need to be taken into consideration. So those days are gone that traditionally something was, course curriculum was designed 10 years back and then no change has happened. It has to happen continuously. Because say, I know once in the year 2000, I went for accreditation of a very well-known business school in the country. And we found that the curriculum, the syllabi of that particular institution, because it was affiliated to a big university, had not changed for 18 years. We were shocked. But now that cannot happen. That cannot happen now. Continuously, we have to redesign our curricula. We have to update our syllabi so that contemporary issues can be taken into consideration. As it traditionally in management education, we have been doing short-term projects or internships, summer internships for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Now it has to go parallelly with every semester. Expose the students to the external realities. Let them understand the concepts by actually seeing what happens in reality. As we had taken this initiative long back in 1989, Dr. Sonwalkar has just now mentioned, where we were colleagues in IMS, DAVB. We had started that OJT long back, see, 1989, 88, 89, around that. In on-the-job training, we had a tie-up with some companies in and around Indore. For half of the day, students used to go to industry. and do the projects, see how industry is functioning. But then the point is, only one university doing it or say 2 universities doing it is not enough. It has to be across the country. It has to be meaningful. Though that OJT that we had started, say, 30 years back, that could not sustain. After a few years, it died. But now with this NEP, formally for the whole country as a policy, long-term internships are very important. Exposure to industry is very important. With this NEP, very soon, we will have practice professors in our institutions. Practice professors are those who are actually practitioners, say maybe working on a senior position in an organization. So in other words, who are working in the field. They can formally be inducted or enrolled in the institution, and they can teach. They can share their practical experiences. Say if I do not have, for instance, not only industry, it is not only with reference to industry, of course it includes industry, it may be even related to other disciplines. Say maybe my students are in of MBA program are interested in learning, say music, and I don't have a music department. Then what? So I can engage a practice professor, someone who has been a practitioner, who has been a great musician, maestro. I cannot look for PhD in his case, but he's a great maestro, known for his art. I can formally engage him as a practice professor who can teach music. Just an example. Similarly, there can be many other examples so that we can engage practitioners in our institutions. You see, in this NEP, there is great emphasis on research. In fact, once the policy is fully implemented, by, as I said, now 14 years are left, we'll find that in the whole country, all higher education institutions are classified into 3 categories. First, we'll be having research intensive universities where focus will, though there will be teaching also, but then more focus will be on research, high-end research. Then second category will be teaching universities. There also research will happen, but teaching and research. And then finally, autonomous degree granting colleges. That will be happening for the first time in the country. That means degree granting colleges will be set up. Autonomous degree granting colleges. They can award the degree. But there also, there is an element of research. The point is, the focus, the emphasis on research is going to increase. It is going to enhance. If we go by the citations and the evidence of research, in comparison to science, management is not having very high level of citations. Therefore, particularly specific in business education, in management education, research also needs to be, besides teaching, besides upgrading our pedagogy, research also needs to be emphasized. We cannot avoid it. We cannot say simply that we are producing students, the professionals who will be working in research has no purpose. No, those days are gone. Research will have to be important, and research it is seen as a vehicle to upgrade ourselves as teachers so that we can share the latest with the students. Even undergraduate research projects are going to be given emphasis. Undergraduate research projects. Therefore, research is a very important element in this national education policy 2020. We shall have to see to it that even we start exposing our students to research projects at the undergraduate level, wherever we have bachelor's program. and then continue, so that by the time they go to master's level, they develop their research skills. That is very, very important. Well, many points were already mentioned by the speaker, so I will not repeat. I want to avoid the repetition, so I will not repeat them. But then some points are, so far as skills are concerned. See, we are talking about skills, so skill development courses. But which skills? Some of the skills have been mentioned by my colleagues, but then there are more which we need to think of while designing the curricula, while preparing the syllabi. See, one is say communication. All of us know that we have been teaching traditionally also, but simply learning what is communication process is not enough. So communication skills need to be developed. Students must develop the communication skills. So emphasis on skills. Similarly, adaptability. Adapting to a changing situation. For example, see what happened last year. Pandemic came all of a sudden. This coronavirus pandemic came all of a sudden. So then the whole world tried to adjust to it, adapt to the new situation, and so on and so forth. But then the skill, adaptability, adapting to the new situation is very important. Therefore, this skill needs to be developed. Students must develop. We need to have courses. We need to have workshops so that students develop the adaptability skills, adapting to the new situation, adapting to the situation which they are facing, in which they are. Adaptability is going to gain importance during the time. Therefore, adaptability skills must be there. Then further, another important skill which is going to gain importance in the future. Therefore, we need to design our curricula accordingly. That is, managing and motivating people remotely. See, this phenomenon of managing people remotely is going to continue. That means managing people from a distance. That is going to continue. Therefore, students who will be in the field tomorrow, who will be joining industry tomorrow, must have the skill of managing and motivating people remotely. When subordinates or the members of the team are working elsewhere, and the team leader has to see to it that things happen in the right direction. Your team leader has to ensure effectiveness and efficiency. So this is a major skill which is going to gain importance during the coming times. So in other words, we have to be very proactive in that sense. Further, what pandemic has taught us? Resilience. So resilience is a skill. So students need to learn how to bounce back. Resilience means how to bounce back as early as possible. And that's what the whole world did when the pandemic started. So we bounced back. But in that process, many people lost lives. See, on one hand, this is true that there have been disruptions across the world because of pandemic. But at the same time, on one hand, so many people lost their lives. But at the same time, many of us who are surviving could take the advantage of the advanced medical science and could take the advantage of the information technology. That's how even today we are connected without traveling, without any physical movement from one place to another place. We are connected. It's because of the technology. So the resilience is going to be a very important skill during the time to come. Therefore, in our curricula, we need to design courses. We need to design workshops. We need to have the colloquia, symposiums, so that students develop the skill of resilience. Further, collaboration, another important skill. We need to collaborate. As Dr. Parimal Vyas was mentioning, that we need to collaborate with other institutions, other universities. Higher education institutions need to network with each other, collaborate with. The same thing applies to industry. Even within industry, when we talk about teamwork, The collaborative skills are important. So collaboration is a very important skill which students must develop. Further, leadership, we have been traditionally teaching leadership wherever there is business education. We always talk about leadership. And leadership will continue to be important. But then in terms of skills, so developing leadership skills is very important. Emphasis on skills is simply knowing what is leadership, who's a leader is not enough. One must develop the skills, how to lead a particular group in a particular situation. Those leadership skills need to be developed by the students. So we need to design our curricula accordingly so that students develop these skills. Problem solving skills. Solve the problem. Say we have been, as Professor Sonwalkar was also mentioning, in many business schools, one of the methods that we have been using is case method. So case method facilitates the students to learn how to identify problem and then solve, propose the solution. It is not enough to just identify the problem, but then it is equally important to solve it. What are the solutions? What are the possible solutions? How to go about it? Those are skills, setup skills. Students need to learn. So we have to design or redesign our curricula in such a way so that problem skills, as he was mentioning about cases, yes, even in IMS 30 years back, in every course we used to teach 6 cases. Our then director, Dr. R.D. Agrawal, had an exposure to Harvard. Therefore, he had brought in that methodology, and all of us were using this methodology. That time, there were not many business schools in the whole country where case method was formally used, but we were formally using, because in examination also case was given. This method is going to gain importance now because it is in a way bringing a situation into the class, simulating a situation in the class. So students get, in a way, exposure to what happens or what can happen, what had happened with somebody else earlier. It can happen to him also, and then how to handle it. So solution, what are the solutions? What are the possible solutions? What are the alternatives? So a student is forced to think, as I think Professor Shukla and even Professor Jain Solkalkar mentioned about critical thinking. So they have to look at it critically. So critical thinking skills can also simultaneously develop. Further on, proactivity, I mentioned about proactive, be proactive. Beforehand, have a ready solution. What to do if this happens? It's again a set of skills are required. So we need to write cases. We need to identify cases. We need to design workshops so that these proactivity skills can be developed by the students. Similarly, contingency planning. We have been teaching planning, but simply teaching is not enough. Students must develop the skills for the planning, for planning. Similarly, how to prioritize. Again, set of skills. I'm specifically talking about skills. Emotional intelligence is very important. How to apply it. What are the skills which are necessary, which can be enriched by emotional intelligence? Similarly, empathy, innovation. Again, during the times to come, innovation is going to gain more importance. This NEP also emphasizes on innovation. I will be quickly summing up. I know time is about to be over. Project management. We have been talking about project management, but then here I am talking specifically about skills. Project management skills, intrapreneur skills. It's not enough to only talk about entrepreneurship. I'm talking about intrapreneurship. That means working in an organization like an entrepreneur, creating wealth for the organization. Similarly, attention to detail and fast learning. It is not only lifelong learning, but fast learning, quick, as we have done in the pandemic. Many of us learned, some of us had not used online platform earlier. But then there was quick learning in many cases, maybe by trial and error, maybe from children. Even some of us learn from children. So the commercial acumen in terms of skills. So we have been teaching theory, but in terms of skills, finally, presentation skills. Presentation skills also we have been talking about, but then we have to see so that students get more and more. And that's why I said in business education, there are some of the things which are already there. So it should not be a great problem for the teachers of business education to implement National Education Policy 2020. So, see, where we are lacking is this. Many times this question is asked that, all right, sir, core courses are okay, we understand it. Discipline specific electives, we can understand it, we have been doing it. General electives, multidisciplinarity, all right, that is also understood. Ability enhancement courses, okay, that also we understand more or less, we can design the courses. But how come the skill development courses, what can be done? How can we simply develop students' skills by teaching in the class? No, we have to go beyond the walls of the class. We have to design workshops, we have to design projects in such a way so that they get the hands-on experience. So these are some of the important aspects. And as I said, I would not like to repeat the points which have been made earlier. And I hope that this workshop will be useful to all our participants, and this good mission that has already been started by Browse should continue, so that we are in full spirit to implement National Education Policy. And now only 14 years are left, so we have to hire up to change the face of higher education for good in the country. And hopefully certain things have been already implemented by some universities. So for example, in our university also some elements have been implemented from this year. Professor Shukla was also mentioning in Browse also some elements are being implemented. So there are many universities which are taking the initiative. So we need to look at it very seriously because it is for good. So with these words, I once again thank Browse and the organizers for inviting me to this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your graceful and informative speech on the theme. Thank you so much, sir, once again. Without wasting time, I would like...
भाटी जी, एक मिनट.
Yes.
इससे पहले कि आप किसी को बुलाएं, मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि हमारे बीच में, चूंकि सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी एचपी से भी उनका मैसेज आया था, उनको कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ रही, कुछ टाइमिंग का भी और उसका भी, तो हमारे बीच में बहुत सीनियर मोस्ट प्रोफेसर हैं, प्रोफेसर सुनील गुप्ता, जो कि वहीं हिमाचल प्रदेश शिमला से, और ब्रॉस की वाइस चांसलर का भी मैसेज आया है, वो जुड़ नहीं पाएंगी, तो मैंने उनसे अभी रिक्वेस्ट किया है अभी, तो वो जुड़ गए हैं, और बाद में वो चेयरमैन स्पीच के रूप में हम उनके पार्टिसिपेशन देखेंगे. इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं प्रोफेसर सुनील गुप्ता का इस वेबिनार में बहुत स्वागत करता हूं, ब्रॉस की तरफ से, मेरी अपनी तरफ से, हमारे सब रिसोर्स पर्सन की तरफ से.
थैंक यू सर. प्रोफेसर सुनील गुप्ता सर का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. और विदाउट वेस्टिंग टाइम आई वुड लाइक टू इनवाइट प्रोफेसर के मनी मैकलाई मैम, former Vice Chancellor, Mother Teresa Women's University, Kodaikanal, Tamil Nadu, for addressing the today's audience on the theme. Ma'am, you are invited, please.
जी सर, जी कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, अच्छा जी, कोई बात नहीं.
मैम प्लीज आप माइक्रोफोन अनम्यूट कर लीजिए प्लीज. मैम प्लीज अनम्यूट योर माइक्रोफोन. मैम योर वॉइस इज नॉट ऑडिबल. या मैम,
can you hear my voice now?
Yes.
It is audible, ma'am. Please.
Okay. I thank Mr. Shukla and Dr. Asha Shukla for having given me the opportunity to share my experience and thoughts with you. And we are second in population. in the world. But we are not second in many of the important factors. Maybe even we can start with economics, education, health, sports, and many more items. In short, I can tell you Human Development Index. We are not second in the world. So there is a big gap between converting the human beings into human resource. All human beings are not human resources. So this population should be converted into human resources. So that is possible only through education. The education may be from tertiary education to higher education. So that is what insisted in the new education policy. So it has a different focus. One such a focus is one such a perspective. Now we are talking and discussing is about MBA management. So management is very much essential to manage everything, including the nation. So when one is having that managerial capacity, definitely that person will become a human resource, and then he will become the asset of any nation. So the country, if it wants to become a developed country, it has to focus its interest and investment on education, that too from school education to higher education. So let me, from this perspective, we have to build a equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing quality, high quality education to everyone in India. It should be accessible to all individuals. Then it is easy to make these human beings into human resources. This new education policy, as Dr. Jain said, he pointed many a times in his talk. He said that one must have the teacher should also have the experience in industries. It is very correct, and certainly it should be a compulsion, because the teachers, they should change their attitude and they have to gain knowledge. The universities or college or schools should be the knowledge sharing institutions. If it is of knowledge sharing institutions, definitely the children will gain the experience and skills. This experience and skills will make the individuals the knowledgeable persons, and they will become the human resource. So that knowledge they can gain only when the teachers are in the industries. So the teachers, they should be in the industries, and Jain sir and another one professor also has insisted the internship period should not be only for a month or for 3 months, because it is not easy to gain the knowledge. In Tamil Nadu, the Tamil Nadu government says that every institution must have industry institutional linkage. So it is, of course, we follow that, but we don't follow it 100%. So when the industry institutional linkage means, we have to call the industrialists, and they have to be in the board of studies, and the board of studies should not be conducted within an hour or in a day. We have to have enough time to discuss about every aspect and in every course, because in every course we have to have a thorough knowledge. The student should gain thorough knowledge from industrial perspective and world labor market perspective. So that can be given only by the industrialist. Hence, in every paper, for every course, we have to have a discussion with the industrialist. And ultimately, it may take a month or 15 days or something. And then only we can finalize the syllabus. It should be according to the requirements of the industries. And that is possible only when the assistant professors and professors are in the industry for some months. And then they will be gaining practical knowledge, that the practical knowledge will enrich every individual to prepare the curriculum very effectively. Because what we prepare, the students are going to learn. Curriculum preparation is very important. So we can take up enough time to prepare every course, and the program will become a successful program. So what I would like to say here is by 2030, we have to ensure equal access for every individual students for affordable quality and that to technical education at tertiary level, and the sustainability to increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skills, including technical and vocational skills for employment to get a decent jobs and entrepreneurship. So this is possible only when the students and teachers are in the industry for a long time, effective period. It should not be only for a month or two. And to ensure, we have to ensure the gender discrimination, and thereby the access will be available. Everybody will have, both men and women will have access to all type of program, because education has got no sex. But there is a gap between men and women in attaining education and after utilizing the knowledge they have gained. Then the new education policy also talks about setting up skill labs. So every institution must set up a skill labs with the help of the local industries, so that the children will learn the important and the effective skills. When they go out, it should not be only with the theoretical knowledge. They must have the practical skills. The practical skills will enrich and effective. That will make the every individual an effective administrator. That is why in our university we have the practice of keeping the children in the villages for 7 days. So when they are in the villages in the 7 days, they will learn the felt needs of the villages, and on that the action oriented research they will be conducting in the villages. Thereby they will find out the felt needs of the villages, and that will be submitted as a proposal to the district administration, and the district administration in turn will take action on that proposal. The needs of the villages will be settled. So these type of administrative skills and our managerial skills should be given to the students at every level. So when they are in the industry for internship for a period of 6 months, then they will be learning minimum for a period of 6 months, or even for every holidays they can be put into some industries. When they are going, if there is an MOU between the industry and the institution, then definitely they will be learning, they will be knowing, understanding what are all the requirements of the industries, what they expect from the newcomers, and thereby that can be given to the students, and they will become the resourceful persons of India tomorrow. Hence, the skill lab should be set up in every institution. A concerted national effort will be made to ensure universal access and affordable opportunity to all students of the country to attain quality holistic education, including skill education. That should be given from school. So immediately, if all of a sudden, if we are trying to give them inside, they can't, they will not adapt to themselves. As the professor said, even it may be a communicative skill or managerial skill, whatever may be the skills, that skill should be given. It should start from the school level. Thereby, it will be easy for them, and they will understand the importance of skills also, because that is the mindset that we have to give them. And then the introduction of number of skill courses with the internship would help every individual to streamline their mindset, and they will become a resourceful persons of India tomorrow. So what we have to do is we have to practice. We have to prepare the curriculum. That the curriculum should be practice based. That is full of skill based or practical oriented. The skill gaps should be analyzed, and that should be filled or narrowed down by when we have an MOU with an industry, we can reduce that gap. And then through Lok Vidya, knowledge can be developed in India, and that should be made accessible to all students. And skill framework, that is through National Skill Qualification Framework, to be detailed information can be given to all students. And then the education should be inclusive, interoperable, interdisciplinary, and outcome based education. No education should be just for a degree. It should not be a passport for entering anywhere. It should be the education what they learn, what the degree they gained. They must have an in-depth knowledge about the courses or about the program what they learned. Then only it will be outcome based education. That is what we say graduate attribute. So this graduate attribute should be a higher level among the students, then definitely the outcome will be good. So for the 21st century, the students should have the it should be in full form of knowledge, that is capacity building. A holistic and multidisciplinary education will help develop well-rounded individuals that possess critical 21st century capacities in fields across the arts, humanities, languages. Everyone must have all type of informations and knowledge. When a person is doing science, he must have the basic skills, life skills. He must learn that from the social sciences. A science person should also understand some concepts from the management perspective and from the arts also. Because when there is a holistic knowledge and perspective, definitely the individual becomes the resourceful person. Otherwise, if he gains or she gains only one, the information, the subject knowledge in a particular area means, then he may be or she may be lacking information in another area. Then that person cannot be a successful person in future. Hence, as new education policy said, multidisciplinary subjects they should learn. For that, I can tell you very frankly, most of the departments in almost institutions, all the institutions, they are very rigid attitude. They process the teachers, those who are very rigid in their attitude, and they are not permitting their students to take up the courses other than their subject related, domain related, because only very few students are coming out from other disciplines to arts and from arts to management, because every individual must have a basic knowledge of science and a basic knowledge of management. So that will help them to have a peaceful life also. So this interdisciplinary education is very much, it should be welcomed by everybody. The National Education Policy 2020 envisaged for some transformational reforms in the Indian education system. It talks about the education system that lays emphasis on experiential learning along with a focus on 21st. This experiential learning and skill like critical thinking, problem solving are very important, and that is insisted in the 2020 National Education Policy. It addresses the challenges on both the demand and supply sides of education and makes an effort to mitigate it. So, in all perspective, this new education policy is very much essential. After more than 3 decades, it took to give us this national education policy. It has taken that much time. So it is really, if it is implemented in full form, definitely there will be a massive change in the structure system of higher education. So what we have to do is, and the teachers, not only the students, the teachers should also change their mindset, and they have to, whether it is from MBA or in social work or sociology or in science, or for example biotechnology or physics, they have to have a tie-up with their particular industry, and accordingly, if they prepare the syllabus curriculum, definitely our curriculum will be the best curriculum, and it will suit the needs of the industry, and there will not be any unemployment problem. All students will be immediately taken over by the concerned industry, because the industry will also know about the students' capacity when they are in internship. So the best system is given, best education policy is given to us. So it is in the hands of the teachers that they have to make the human beings into convert them to human resource, and thereby we will become not only number 2, number 1 in the world. That is possible. Hence, we all have to try to adapt this. This is what my message to you all. Thank you for the opportunity to every one of you, and I sincerely thank once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a great enlightening speech on the theme. Thank you so much once again. प्रोग्राम को मैं आगे बढ़ाते हुए हमारे जो नेक्स्ट स्पीकर हैं आज के,
मैं थोड़ा उनके बारे में बता दूं थोड़ा।
मैम से सर अभी एक बात,
क्योंकि मैंने सभी लोगों का परिचय शुरू में ही दिया था
जी,
तो मैंने आपसे बताया था कि ब्रॉस वाइस चांसलर ने मुझसे कहा कि किसी को भी उसमें चेयरमैन कर दीजिए।
सर अभी
प्रोफेसर
मैम से
सुनील,
जस्ट बात हुई है तो शायद मैम जुड़ पाएंगे अभी।
नहीं जुड़ पाएंगे। एनीवे, उनको बोल दीजिए, और मैं उनके बारे में सुनील गुप्ता जी का परिचय चूंकि सबका दिया था उनका भी दे दूं।
जी
Professor Sunil Gupta is the ex-Vice Chancellor of Himachal University, Shimla. Presently, he is the chairman of HP Higher Education Council, and he is a very senior professor in the Commerce and Management area. He is my friend. So, in very short notice, when Bansal has some problem from HP, so I say that problem should be solved from the same state, and even by your chairman, madam, I have requested him, since he was the last speaker, to work as a chairman. I once again welcome Professor Sunil Gupta in this webinar. बुला लीजिए।
प्रोफेसर सुनील गुप्ता सर को सादर आमंत्रित करता हूं। सर, आपका स्वागत है और आज के विषय पर अपने विचार व्यक्त करें और हम सभी को अनुग्रहित करें।
Thank you, Dr. Shukla. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes.
जी प्लीज सर।
Fully.
For giving me this opportunity at a very short notice. But anyway, I was listening to two speakers of your this program, and whatever I have gathered from there, I'll not speak much. As I have been told that this is regarding the new education policy 2020, its implementation thereof. Friends who are here on this virtual mode, I was listening to two persons. One person was saying that we are to go in for business schools, etc. The spirit of this policy is not to keep anything in isolation. Once we are able to implement it in letter and spirit, so by 2030, there will be no business school, there will be no engineering college, and there will not be any degree college itself. Because every institution then is to be the multi-faculty institution. No education college. The spirit is, I heard one word from Dr. Dhar, lifelong learning. Now, basically, when we go through the policy from the scratch, then it spells out that in the past, what was the system of our education? We were producing graduates, postgraduates, and what they are to do afterwards, we were not taking cognizance of it. And at some times, people who were passing degrees, maybe even MPhil, post-graduation, even after PhD, when they were looking for their careers afterwards, apart from teaching for PhDs, they were put on certain training in the concerns. I remained in the department for 36 years, and we were seeing that whatever we were teaching in the classrooms, that was entirely different. And after that, they were to learn in the spot or on the spot where they are to join, for which either 6 months or 1 year training was being imparted to them. Why there was a gap? The gap was due to the education system which was imparting the degrees, which was giving the degrees. We were educating the persons. And even today also, we are educating the persons. But we were not making them employable in any context. It is not the industry which absorbs the persons. Industry is one segment. We have so many options for that. One can go in for self-employment, one can go in for certain other skill-based works, or one can go into the government also. So they are all the stakeholders. Some will go to the teaching, some will go to the colleges, some will go to the universities. What we were doing, which has been now, that's why it has been said that it is lifelong learning, that whatever we shall be getting through our education system under this policy, that will not go as a waste. That will be used throughout your life, whether you are going for the industry, whether you are going for your work, self-employment, whether you are starting an industry, or whether you are doing certain or going for the government job. So now this is a continuous exercise. We cannot take in isolation the management. If today we talk about the MBA only or management courses at the postgraduate level, that will not be beneficial for us. As Madam from Tamil Nadu was saying, skill. Now the skill has been oriented from standard 6 in the schools, skill programs. So meaning thereby that our student will start his working on the skill or will go in for gaining the skill, not in the college or in the university, but will start from the scratch of 6th standard. And the training, practical training they talked about, they have clearly mentioned that from the beginning in the school itself, there must be a practical training starting from 2 days, and when he will go higher and higher, that training spell is to be enhanced or is to be increased. Multidisciplinary concept has been given. In India, choice-based credit system is there now throughout India. But what we have seen, because choice-based credit system is a step towards the multidisciplinary system. I don't know about the other universities. In some of the universities I have seen, while implementing this choice-based credit system, what has been done? That a person who is having, say, economics as a major, he has been given economics as a minor also. So that does not mean it is a complete choice-based credit system. There also, student was to take certain subject other than those which he is studying as a major subject. In the multidisciplinary approach, it has been made compulsory that everyone will take up the subject other than his major subject on which he will be having the knowledge. We are not going to make a person just, we are not going to now compartmentalize the persons. We are not putting him in certain, we can say in certain bowl, that this is a bowl of the scientist, it is a bowl of the engineer, it is a bowl of the arts graduate, it is a bowl of the commerce or management graduates. We are to go in for holistic development. We are to go in for overall development, personality development of a person. And the same thing was going on when we talk about Nalanda, Takshila, etc., that a person was acquiring the knowledge of everything, whereas in which he has the main interest, he was acquiring that knowledge also. Along with it, they were knowing what is economics basics, what is law, what is science, So means everything they were teaching. And this education policy has laid down emphasis on the overall development of a student. Now, when we talk about the syllabus or curriculum, that's all right. I was listening to that this is to be included, that is to be included. But one thing we must keep it in mind, since it is a continuous process, we have to look about the syllabi or curriculum, not in isolation for the postgraduate or for the undergraduate. We have to look into continuity, that if a person comes into the college and ends up with PhD or leaves in between, our syllabus must be in such a manner, our curriculum must be in such a manner that when he exits an institution, there is an entry and exit system is there. Then whatever we are teaching to him, whatever skills we are giving to him, whatever extracurricular activities which has been incorporated into the mainstream, vocational education which has been incorporated into the mainstream of the education, he must be able to get something once he leaves the institution. Like specifically for the management, when we are to admit a student, because MBA will come in the last, when we will be admitting a student, because now the present requirement is that we are to go in for changing this from undergraduate level, from first year, second year, final year, and then the fourth year is to come to the colleges. Research component is to come into the colleges. So while formulating the syllabi, we have to take into consideration that what will be in the first year, what will be in the second year, what will be in the third year, and thereafter, anyone who will be proceeding for the fourth year, major component is to be the research, as it has been linked with the post-graduation, and for them the post-graduation will be of 1 year, not of the 2 years. So while framing the syllabus, because first of all we have to decide how many, in a bucket, how many fruits will be there, how many papers are to be there, and since academic credit bank is has been established, and easy mobility of the student from one place to another place has been facilitated. So we are to go in for the overall perspective, that what will be the total syllabi or total number of courses in a course. We can go in for choosing the syllabi, because everywhere, even if the standard syllabus is being prepared by some agency, then also there is a relaxation for changing certain things into that as per the requirement of the particular institution, particular university, or particular autonomous institutions. So at this juncture, Madam was saying that some of the things have been started. In our state, we have not, even in colleges, we have not started. We are formulating the syllabi, which is to be refined afterwards. And once we get the total bucket, how many subjects are to be there, that is to be nationwide phenomena, and then we can go in for implementation of the syllabus. The syllabi cannot be changed in scratches. It is to be changed right from the first year of the college and up to the fourth year of the college. Then it will come to the university level and then to the other levels. So Madam has also joined, I think, Asha Shukla madam has also joined. So my Dr. Shukla has asked me to deliver the chairperson. So my submission to such, we are also holding such webinars, conferences for this purposes. Even we have started the offline also. That we should be ready with the curriculum. And that curriculum should be such which must take into consideration from the first year till the end. Because of the multiple exit and entry, it becomes the duty of we people that we train a person, we put a person. After first year, if he leaves, he should get advantage of it. After second year, if he leaves, he should be able to do something with whatever the skill he will be acquiring along with his majors. And then we can proceed, and ultimately this policy is to, because education has come up under this, engineering has come up under this umbrella, Ministry of Education, under this policy. So we are not to work in isolation. We are to work in a coordinated manner so that whatever we are designing, that must be fit in to those persons also who will be going to opt for your courses in the multidisciplinary approach. So that is my submission, and I hope that Browse is doing much effort for this purpose, and under the leadership of Madam Shukla, they'll be able to achieve it. And I am thankful to Dr. Shukla, who called me at a very short notice, but since Dr. Shukla is my friend, a very old friend, so I agreed to it. So thank you very much.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। बहुत ही कम समय में आप से बात करके और हमें इतना अच्छा इंफॉर्मेशन जो आज के टॉपिक पर हमें प्राप्त हुई, और सभी जो हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं उन्हें भी इस नॉलेज का बहुत फायदा हुआ होगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर आपका ब्राउज परिवार की ओर से। अब मैं कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाता हूं, और हमारे इस पूरे कार्यक्रम जो 31वां कार्यक्रम आज हम जिस कार्यक्रम में जुड़े हैं, यह एक वर्षीय एकाडमिक कार्यक्रम जो नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, टीचर्स की भूमिका और साथ ही करिकुलम में प्रपोज्ड चेंजेस पर चल रहा है। उसकी अध्यक्षा माननीय कुलपति महोदया, जिनके मार्गदर्शन में लगातार ब्राउज तरह तरह के अकादमिक, सामाजिक और प्रसार कार्यक्रम कर रहे हैं, जिससे कि जो अकादमिक जगत में जो विद्यार्थियों को फायदा हो सके, समाज को फायदा हो सके, उसके लिए पूरे प्रयास किए जा रहे हैं। मैं माननीय कुलपति महोदया को बड़ा ही सम्मान के साथ, आदर के साथ बुलाना चाहता हूं कि मैम आज के विषय पर और हमारे इस पूरे कार्यक्रम में अध्यक्षीय उद्बोधन के लिए मैं आपको सादर आमंत्रित करता हूं। माननीय कुलपति महोदया। मैम।
वाइस चांसलर कॉन्क्लेव, आज नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के लिए हमारे कार्यक्रम सुनिश्चित किए गए थे 50, उसका आज ये 31वां कार्यक्रम था। तो इस कार्यक्रम के माननीय अध्यक्ष प्रोफेसर गुप्ता सर, जिन्होंने मेरी व्यस्तता के कारण जिम्मेदारी को इतना बखूबी निर्वहन किया कि हम सब आह्लादित हैं, क्योंकि मैं उस विषय की हूं नहीं, उतना कर ही नहीं सकती थी, और ये विषय पर केंद्रित है। तो सम्मानीय प्रोफेसर सुनील गुप्ता सर, हृदय से बहुत प्रणाम करती हूं, और आप हमारे परिवार के आत्मीय हैं, बड़े हैं, आपका मार्गदर्शन हम दोनों को ही प्राप्त है, इसलिए पुनः पूरे ब्राउज परिवार की ओर से प्रणाम करती हूँ। प्रोफेसर परिमल व्यास जी, प्रोफेसर उपेंद्र धर, प्रोफेसर जयंत सोनवलकर जी, प्रोफेसर मणि मेखलाई, आप सबका बहुत स्वागत। और इस कार्यक्रम का पूरा जो एकेडमिक ताना बाना बुना, उसके लिए प्रोफेसर आर.के. शुक्ला जी और हमारे विश्वविद्यालय के बहुत ही योग्य, मेहनती व्यक्ति शिक्षक डॉक्टर भरत भाटी, हमारे सहयोगी भी जुड़े हैं, प्रोफेसर शैलेंद्र मणि जी हैं, मैं देख रही हूँ बहुत सारे लोग हैं, क्योंकि ये कार्यक्रम इस समय पूरा यूट्यूब और फेसबुक पे लाइव है। सारी दुनिया इस महामारी की जो चुनौती है उसमें संभावनाओं को तलाश कर रही है। मित्रों, आप सब जानते हैं कि मैं और शिक्षण मंडल, हमारा विश्वविद्यालय और शिक्षण मंडल इस कार्यक्रम को कर रहा है, और न केवल कर रहा है बल्कि इसकी विस्तृत रिपोर्ट जा रही है। हम लोगों ने पहला कार्यक्रम केंद्रित इस पे किया था कि इस विषय विशेष की चुनौती क्या है, शिक्षक क्या समझते हैं और उनकी क्या अनुशंसा करते हैं कि इन चुनौतियों का समाधान पूरा शिक्षा जगत कैसे करे। दूसरा विषय इस पे केंद्रित है जो आज कार्यक्रम हो रहा है कि पाठ्यक्रमों में प्रपोज्ड संशोधन आप लोग क्या बताते हैं। तो इन दोनों चीजों को जोड़ते हुए सारी रिपोर्ट्स हम लोग नीति आयोग, राजभवन, राज्य शासन और संबंधित विषय विशेषज्ञों को भेज रहे हैं। लेकिन इन सारे विषयों पर विमर्श करने के बाद हमें ऐसा प्रतीत होता है कि इन अनुशंसाओं के आधार पर और देश में जहां कहीं भी जितने भी प्रोग्राम हो रहे होंगे सब्जेक्ट स्पेसिफिक, उन सब को जोड़ के ईस्ट, वेस्ट, नॉर्थ, साउथ और नॉर्थ ईस्ट, इन 5 जगहों पर वहां के संबंधित वाइस चांसलर्स के साथ, सब्जेक्ट एक्सपर्ट्स के साथ गहन विचार विमर्श करके एक कंक्लूडिंग बात निकाली जानी चाहिए, और उसके साथ ये सुनिश्चित किया जाना चाहिए कि इसका फाइनली रोड मैप पूरा इम्प्लीमेंटेशन का क्या होगा और क्यों होगा, और उसमें क्या हमने पूरी अपनी भौगोलिक परिस्थितियों को, मैनेजरियल स्किल्स को, सबको हमने टेक केयर कर लिया है। सारे देश की चीजों को, परिस्थितियों को, स्टूडेंट्स के, टीचर्स के, उनके स्पेशलाइजेशन के मुद्दे पे टेक केयर कर लिया है। मैनेजमेंट एक ऐसा विषय है, मैं बीच बीच में जितना यथासंभव था सुन पा रही थी उस विषय में। जैसे वायरस आया, मैनेजमेंट एक ऐसा विषय होता है जो तत्काल एक ऐसा प्रबंधन रचता है कि कोई वायरस उसको हरा नहीं सकता। एक दूसरा तत्काल उसके लिए अकाउंट क्रिएट किया गया, हमारे सारे लोग जुड़े, शिक्षक भी जुड़ गए और हमारे विद्यार्थी भी जुड़ गए। ये होती है मैनेजमेंट की स्किल, जिसके अधीन ये सारा काम हम लोग कर पाए। दूसरा विषय ये था कि अगर मैनेजमेंट के लोग अकेले एकेडमिया में, मैं सोचती हूँ, अकेला काम नहीं कर सकते, उनको इंडस्ट्री के साथ ही कार्य करना पड़ेगा। तो इंडस्ट्री और मैनेजमेंट, जैसे मैं वीमेन्स स्टडीज में जब काम कर रही थी तो वीमेन्स स्टडीज डिसिप्लिन मैं हमेशा देखती थी कि अकेला एक एकेडमिक डिसिप्लिन नहीं हो सकता, उसमें एक्टिविस्ट भी होने चाहिए, उसमें पूरा भूत भविष्य भी होना चाहिए। वैसे ही मैनेजमेंट विषय ये तो पूरी दुनिया के और जीवन के प्रबंधन और विद्यार्थियों के हर तरीके के प्रबंधन से जुड़ा हुआ है। तो उस विषय में ये समझने की जरूरतें हैं कि आखिर कैसे हो। तो इंडस्ट्री के अगर एक्सपर्ट्स हमारे साथ साझेदारी नहीं करेंगे तो हम उन सारी चीजों को, चाहे वो अप्रेंटिस मोड हो, जैसे अभी फॉर एग्जाम्पल हमारे यहाँ स्टार इंश्योरेंस हेल्थ का जो एक पाठ्यक्रम शुरू होने जा रहा है, वो इंडस्ट्री और अकेडमिया के कोलैबोरेशन का प्रतीक है। प्रोफेसर मनी मेखलाई जैसे स्किल बेस्ड चीजों की बातों को कह रहे थे। स्वाभाविक है, मैनेजमेंट को तो अब स्किल बेस्ड होना है, क्योंकि हमें न केवल प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटी से बट हमको ग्लोबली कॉम्पिटिट करना है। और ये पॉलिसी ऐसी है कि इसमें जो कुछ भी मध्य प्रदेश में हो उतना पूरा नहीं है, देश में वैसा ही होना चाहिए, प्रत्येक विश्वविद्यालय में वैसा ही होना चाहिए। तो एक एकेडमिक एक्सीलेंस के साथ ग्राउंड रियलिटीज के जो विषय हैं वो हमको इंडस्ट्री देती है, वो एक्सपोजर की हम लोगों को बार बार जरूरत है। आप सारे विद्वानों ने इन सारी चीजों को, जितनी चीजों को इसमें जोड़ा है, वो सारी अनुशंसाएं आएंगी। आप लोगों से अनुरोध है कि आप अपनी अति व्यस्त दिनचर्या में वाइस चांसलर्स की क्या स्थिति होती है मैं भी बहुत बखूबी समझती हूँ, फिर भी ये बहुत बड़ा विषय है, पूरे देश के शिक्षा जगत का विषय है, विश्व का विषय है, विश्व में विश्व गुरु के तौर पर प्रतिष्ठापित होने का विषय है। तो अनुरोध है, जितना भी वक्त इजाजत दे और जितना भी इजाजत दे, कम से कम अनुशंसाएं तो आपकी हमें प्राप्त हो ही जाएं, जिनको हम अपनी रिपोर्ट में इनकॉर्पोरेट कर सकें, और अगर पूरा पेपर आ जाएगा तो बहुत अच्छा होगा। मैं डॉक्टर भरत को और प्रोफेसर आर के शुक्ला को बहुत धन्यवाद कहती हूँ। और पूरा इसके लिए और हम लोग जुड़ते रहे और ऐसा विरोध तो हमको दूसरे को हम विरोध कर पूरी को एक
आवाज कट गई है। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद मैम। आप ऊर्जा का भंडार हैं और आपसे ही हम सभी को ऊर्जा प्राप्त होती हैं और इसी तरीके से मार्गदर्शन आपका हमें प्राप्त होता है, जिसके कारण हम तरह तरह की जो अकादमिक गतिविधियां हैं वो कर पाते हैं। और इसी तरीके से आज हम जिस कार्यक्रम में हैं यह भी सफलतापूर्वक आपके मार्गदर्शन में, आपकी प्रेरणा से हम संपन्न कर पाए हैं। आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद मैम। मैं अगली कड़ी में और अंतिम कड़ी के रूप में आभार प्रदर्शन के लिए मेरे कलीग डॉक्टर विशाल पुरोहित कॉमर्स डिपार्टमेंट से मेरे साथ जुड़े हैं। मैं विशाल पुरोहित जी को आमंत्रित करता हूं आभार व्यक्त करने के लिए। डॉक्टर विशाल पुरोहित जी।
धन्यवाद। सर्वप्रथम मैं सभी गुरुवरों को चरण स्पर्श करता हूं कि आज आपके माध्यम से अलग अलग प्रदेशों से पूरे देश का, जिसको हम बोल सकते हैं कि आज हमें एक लघु भारत के दर्शन इस सेमिनार के माध्यम से प्राप्त हुए हैं। हमारी माननीय कुलपति महोदया का हमेशा से यह दृष्टि रही है कि पूरे भारत में कोई भी राज्य ऐसा ना हो जहां पर हमारे विश्वविद्यालय में इस प्रकार जो पूरे कार्यक्रम चल रहे हैं, जिसमें से आज 31वां प्रोग्राम था, उसकी कहीं ना कहीं छवि सभी राज्यों में जाना चाहिए। तो आज वो देखने को मिली। आज हमारे समक्ष लगभग अधिकांश राज्यों के कुलपति महोदय, माननीय कुलपति महोदय, गुरुजन जुड़े हैं, जिनके माध्यम से हमें कई प्रकार की स्किल से संबंधित बातें, मैनेजमेंट विषय में क्या क्या परिवर्तन होना चाहिए, पॉलिसी में, नीतियों में क्या क्या परिवर्तन होना चाहिए, और शिक्षण कार्य में जो शिक्षा पॉलिसी भारत सरकार के द्वारा दी गई है, उसमें किस प्रकार से उसको यथार्थ पर उतारने की आवश्यकता महसूस होती है, इन सभी का हमको आज मार्गदर्शन प्राप्त हुआ है। तो मैं सभी का आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। आदरणीय प्रोफेसर परिमल व्यास सर का आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। साथ ही मैं प्रोफेसर के मनी मेकालाई का आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। उपेंद्र धर सर का आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। जयंत सोनवरकर जी माननीय सर का आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। नागेश्वर राव जी का भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। साथ ही प्रकाश बंसल जी सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी से हमारे साथ जुड़े थे, मैं उनका भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। साथ ही प्रोफेसर आर.के. शुक्ला सर, जिन्होंने इस प्रकार के कार्यक्रमों में हमेशा विश्वविद्यालय में रहकर हम सभी को मार्गदर्शन किया है, और उन्हीं के मार्गदर्शन से आज विश्वविद्यालय में वाणिज्य और प्रबंधन दोनों डिपार्टमेंट बहुत ऊंचाइयों को छूते नजर आ रहे हैं। तो मैं विशेष रूप से आदरणीय आर.के. शुक्ला सर का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, जिन्होंने समय समय पर हमें हमेशा समझाया है और मार्ग प्रशस्त किया है। इसी के साथ मैं हमारे सभी डीन प्रोफेसर डी.के. वर्मा जी, मनीषा सक्सेना जी, देवाशीष देवनाथ जी, प्रोफेसर शैलेंद्र मणि त्रिपाठी जी का भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, जिनका हमें उचित मार्गदर्शन प्राप्त होता है। साथ ही रजिस्ट्रार साहब अजय जी वर्मा साहब का, और कुल सचिव, सहायक कुल सचिव संध्या मालवी मैडम का भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। और इन सबके साथ वेबिनार में शामिल सभी आदरणीय गुरुवर जनों का, और विद्यार्थी, शोधार्थी तथा प्रत्यक्ष अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से जो इस सेमिनार में, वेबिनार में जुड़े हैं, उन सभी का विश्वविद्यालय परिवार की ओर से विशेष आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। अंत में मैं शिक्षण मंडल का विशेष आभार व्यक्त करूंगा, जो हमारे साथ वर्ष भर के कार्यक्रम में जुड़े हैं और हमेशा हमें सहयोग प्रदान करते रहे हैं, हमें मार्ग दिखाते रहे हैं। और इसी के साथ भरत भाटी सर, जिन्होंने कुशल संचालन किया, मैं उनका भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। धन्यवाद। अंत में मैं माननीय कुलपति महोदया का विशेष रूप से आभार व्यक्त करना चाहूंगा कि जिनके मार्गदर्शन में इस प्रकार की रचना विश्वविद्यालय में पूरे भारत देश में सर्वप्रथम रची गई है, तथा यह एक ऐसा कार्य है जो मंथन को, जिसको बोलते हैं कि गागर में सागर, उस प्रकार का यह कार्य शिक्षा क्षेत्र में अभिन्न रूप से इसी विश्वविद्यालय के द्वारा प्रारंभ किया गया है, जो पूरे देश में आज सभी की नजरों में दिखाई दे रहा है। और यह धरातल पर इसके जितने भी कार्य, जितने भी वेबिनारों के माध्यम से हमें अनुशंसाएं प्राप्त होती है, उसका प्रकाशन कार्य भी किया जा रहा है। तो आदरणीय कुलपति महोदया की इस दृष्टि का और इस मार्गदर्शन का, इस नेतृत्व शैली का मैं विशेष आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। धन्यवाद आदरणीय कुलपति महोदय।
धन्यवाद विशाल प्रोफेसर, मैं आपका आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ आभार के लिए। और प्रोफेसर आर के शुक्ला सर, जिनके नेतृत्व में हम लगातार नई नई अकादमिक गतिविधियां कर पा रहे हैं, मैं व्यक्तिगत ब्राउस और डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ मैनेजमेंट की ओर से बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं सर। आपका ऐसा ही मार्गदर्शन हमको मिलता रहे और हम आगे भी इस तरह के कार्यक्रम कर पाएं। और जो हमारे जितने प्रतिभागी गण हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं, उन सभी को बताना चाहूँगा कि जिन लोगों ने भी सर्टिफिकेट रजिस्ट्रेशन किए हैं, वो सभी को एक फीडबैक लिंक प्राप्त होगी, उसके माध्यम से आप सभी लोग सर्टिफिकेट प्राप्त कर पाएंगे। अंत में मैं हमारी परंपरा अनुसार एडवोकेट नरेश मिश्रा सर, भाई साहब आप जुड़े हैं? एडवोकेट नरेश मिश्रा जी जुड़े हैं? मनोज गुप्ता जी?
जी
जी, तो मैं मनोज गुप्ता जी को आमंत्रित करता हूं कि आप कल्याण मंत्र के लिए आए और वाचन करें।
जी। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर मनोज गुप्ता जी। अब मैं माननीय कुलपति महोदया के अनुमति से आज के कार्यक्रम, प्रोफेसर आर के शुक्ला सर की अनुमति से आज के कार्यक्रम को यहीं पर समाप्त करते हैं। और जो भी हमारे प्रतिभागी गण जुड़े हैं, उन वो सभी लोग सर्टिफिकेट जरूर प्राप्त
कर लीजिए।
ठीक है सर जी। जितने प्रतिभागी गण हमारे जुड़े हैं, वो सभी सर्टिफिकेट प्राप्त कर पाएंगे। जो रजिस्ट्रेशन किए हैं, उन सभी को सर्टिफिकेट प्राप्त हो पाएंगे। तो आप जरूर अपने मेल से यह सर्टिफिकेट प्राप्त कर लें। आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद इस कार्यक्रम में जुड़ने।
प्रोफेसर प्रमोद कुमार, who has सर लिंक नहीं आया है।